Angry MGTOW here. And today I'm going to do a face reveal of Angry MGTOW and Turd Flinging Monkey. You think I'm not going to? Think again. So, I've been away from MGTOW for a little bit, and the topic of showing my face, getting doxxed, honestly, the stress has just been getting to me. I've been talking it over with Turd Flinging Monkey, and I think that it's time that people get to know who I am. And at the same time, I think that he just like went off the deep end recently. We do talk from time to time. Message him on Skype and on Twitter. We're actually good friends, even if he talks shit about me behind my back. And I decided that it was time to just get it out there. And basically, I told him I was going to do this, and he didn't really say anything about it. In fact, he seems to have liked the idea. So I'm going to just do a face reveal. I'm going to do a face reveal, and I think that it will help to take a little bit of pressure off my back, and also to kind of like get closer to the community. So first off, I want to talk to you guys and just tell you a little bit about myself. So, I've told you guys that I'm from New York, and I literally grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in New York, grew up in mainly an Italian neighborhood, and it was very interesting. Growing up in the 80s in New York was kind of crazy because I used to call them Dinkin days because back then we had a guy named Mayor Dinkins. He was actually the first black mayor of New York City, and he basically did nothing. The city was covered in homeless people. It wasn't until Mayor Giuliani stepped up years later and came in and fixed things. We once had this place called 42nd Street, and 42nd Street was essentially a place where you could go to, get anything you wanted. You wanted some drugs, you can go to 42nd Street. You wanted a prostitute, you can go to 42nd Street. I remember hearing about this place in college. So as I got older, I looked at this and I'll never forget seeing homeless people like just lining off hospitals and lobbies. I mean, back in the 80s, I tell you guys, like homelessness was crazy. Homelessness was insane. New York was a different place in the 80s. I'll tell you guys something interesting. I bet you guys didn't know that New York City used to have a trolley system. And the trolley systems were also in places like Brooklyn, I believe, Queens, all over. I remember as a kid actually seeing a trolley running through the streets in the 80s. There were actually functional trolleys still running in New York back in the 80s. That's something that a lot of people don't know. Like it's a part of our history that people really miss out on. And it's funny because back in the 80s, that's when the whole feminist thing really started to really manifest. Like the second wave feminism, it was beginning, the indoctrination was starting to set in. Because that was a time when my mother started getting these screwy ideas in her head, like going out and getting a job. My father, by around 1992, my father was making something like $60,000 a year, or $65,000 a year. He was making a significant amount of money. As a kid, I never really realized just how much money my parents were actually making. When I think back to it now, and I think back to my little brothers, if I go back, let's see, how old would I have been? So back when I was like maybe 13, 12, when I was like 12, my father was making like $60,000 a year. My mother, she also had a job, but their combined income eventually was over $100,000 a year in the early 90s, the very, very early 90s. Oh, $100,000 a year. And I sit back and I think to myself, oh shit. Like there's nothing like nothing like this is gonna happen in our generation. Yes, I grew up as an upper middle class kid. I didn't even know how much money my parents had until we went to private school later on in life. And that was really interesting. My mother had a lot of money. My mother had so much money that she could literally pay my school's tuition in one go. Like me and my brother, she would literally just pay our school's tuition in a single go. Single go. Like I never realized just how much money my mother had. But it's funny because growing up there was a lot of things that we didn't get to enjoy because my parents were so bad with money. My father was always going out and buying fancy new suits and entertaining women. I'll never know the full extent of what my father did with his money. My mother, on the other hand, I know what she did with her money. My mother burnt it she burnt through money. It was frightening. Frightening watching my mother. Frightening. She would walk around with like envelopes stuffed with cash, $3,000, $6,000, just to go to the grocery store. You heard me. My mother would literally go to she'd literally go shopping with like $3,000 in her purse. And I would just, I'm like, I used to think this was normal because my mother would say that we're poor. My mother would say, we're not rich people. And then when I got older, I realized, oh shit, we're middle class. We in fact may be upper middle class. My mother's just good for nothing. And it was just really some crazy times. And my mother, she went through the whole feminist doctrination. She talked all this shit about my father, and she basically she lowered my self-esteem so much over the years. Jack Petridge, I'm looking at the comments, says my aunt makes over $140,000 a year. I have more in the bank than her, and I make $40,000. Guys, I want you to pay attention to this comment, because this comment is the most disgusting thing. Jack Petridge in the comment section says, my aunt makes $140,000 a year. I have more in the bank than her, and I make $40,000. Guys, I've talked about this in an example before, where men will make literally significantly less money than women and have much larger savings. Vato Solo talked about this woman who lived in Mexico. She was making 6 figures a year. She was making 6 figures in Mexico. Let me tell you about the cost of living in Mexico. Okay? The cost of living in Mexico, you can get an apartment. You can get a place to live, like a 2-bedroom. You can rent a house for $500 a month in Mexico. You can rent a big house. You can rent a house for like $500 a month in Mexico. Yeah, you can. And this woman was making 6 figures. And she basically burnt through all of it. She burnt through all of it on vacations, tons of junk. Then she became depressed, started drinking. Then she basically stopped going to work. Her boss and her coworkers tried to pull her out of it, but they couldn't. She just literally stopped going to work. They offered her a severance package. She refused to take it, but then just never came back. So then it became a voluntary quit. So she got no severance. She ended up homeless, living in her car. The last time Vado saw her, he said he bought her a nice meal, but he tries not to have much to do with her because he doesn't want her to bring him down. That is how psychotic women are. That's how psychotic women are. They basically waste everything. They burn through everything. You think that's an isolated situation? There's a guy named Yan Ling who also he comments on the channel from time to time, and he talks about his ex-wife. She was a model, pretty popular model. She made hundreds of thousands of dollars in her career. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, I think he said. She was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, while he was making $80,000 a year. Hear the story very carefully, guys. I want you to listen up carefully. Right? He said, hey, MGTOW, that's 500 US, right? That's 500 US, yeah. That's right, dude. You can rent a house in Mexico for 500 US. Let me finish my story. So, what's his name? Guys, you just throw Yan Ling. His wife was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as a model. He was making $80,000 a year. He said that she bought tons of useless crap. She burned through all of it. And in the end, he ended up paying off all of her student loans. He paid off something like $80,000 in student loans for her. He paid off all of her student loans. She burned through all of her money. And that's the typical American woman. He said that happened during his simp days. I mean, it is downright psychotic. And it's funny, my mother is like flat. These days, my mother is flat broke. She's, she basically doesn't work anymore. Because this is how these women operate. My mother, she spent most of her good years in her 30s, 40s, early 50s, making as much money as she could, plus living off my father. She used her money to buy whatever she wanted to. She bought all her stuff. She had her fun. She bought dresses that cost $1,000, $500, $1,000. She did all of this shit. And then, at the end of the day, she ends up with nothing. Tons of useless junk. Useless junk. She has like 2 houses filled with useless junk. She has like $100,000 of just useless furniture. Useless furniture! Useless furniture, my friends. Useless furniture. And it's amazing how stupid the female brain is, because they just don't think ahead. They don't think ahead. They don't think about the future. They only think about the now and acquiring more shit. And in their minds, buying all this junk makes sense. It's crazy. To a woman, junk makes sense. Garbage makes sense. Tons and tons of useless items make sense to the female brain. Because they figure that they can use this stuff to appear like they have resources, to gain comfort. See, women they like to surround themselves with things of value, assuming that things of value give them value. That's the reason why a woman will buy an expensive dress that costs $1,000, wear it only one time, and then say that it was completely worth it. It was completely worth doing. I was reading a study, and it found that the average woman spends $25,000 a year. The average woman will spend $25,000 in her lifetime on shoes. The average woman will spend $25,000 in her lifetime on shoes. On shoes. Think about that very carefully. $25,000 in her lifetime on shoes. This suggests that a lot of women are spending upwards of $1,000 a year on shoes. $1,000 a year on shoes. This is how foolish the female brain is. Women do things that make no sense, but they think it makes sense because they're gaining value by surrounding themselves with useless junk that are said to be worth things. They buy a dress that they claim gives them self-confidence. They don't wear clothing. They don't wear fancy dresses for men. They wear them because it makes them feel good about themselves. This is how stupid women are. You wear a dress that makes you feel good about yourself, but you're not wearing it to gain attention, right? You're not wearing it for men. How stupid do you think men are when you make that kind of comment? Women wear fancy dresses so men will look at them and think, "Oh wow, she's a person of value." They wear these types of clothing to attract men. It's funny how devious feminism is, because feminism has told women that, they're equal, that everything they do is for them. It has nothing to do with men. It has everything to do with men. They're constantly fighting for the male gaze. They're constantly fighting for male attention. That's what these women are doing. Feminism is not going to change anytime soon. It's going to, like I said, feminism, 2017 is the year feminism died. 2018 is the year feminism. Feminists don't know feminism is dead. But the nature of feminism isn't going to change. These women who are now going to find themselves in a post-feminist world, which is a term that Kellyanne Conway coined. She called herself a post-feminist. Because women don't realize they are now in a post-feminist world. They still haven't felt the effects of Donald Trump yet. They still haven't felt the effects of Brexit yet. They're going to start feeling them soon. And as soon as they start feeling them, they're going to wake up and realize shit has hit the fan. And they're not going back. They won't be able to go back to the past. They won't be able to go back to the 1950s, to the white picket fence, to the times when men would take care of them, when men would provide them with their resources, and women could live off both men and the government. You see, men were a woman's nest egg. We were their nest egg in light of the government. So if things ever went south, we would basically bail them out. But women behaved so badly. They tore men down. They attacked men. Look what has happened in society. Look at the disparity. Look at the division between men and women. I had, what is her name? I had a bit of Brit on the channel earlier today, and she basically explained that women don't give a damn about each other. Women don't care about each other. She actually cracked the joke that Milo Stewart is this wannabe transgender, and it's this transgender girl, and she's absolutely ridiculous. And I talked about, what if she saw homeless SJWs or homeless feminists, and she goes, what you mean? If I saw Milo Stewart on the homeless Milo Stewart, she can watch. She basically said that she would give Milo Stewart the middle finger. Milo Stewart's 18. She's an 18-year-old idiot, and a bit of Brit is 28. And a bit of Brit said she would give her the middle finger. She'd give her the middle finger. She wouldn't give her money. She'd give her the middle finger. Guys, women have created a bed for themselves. They have created a horrible bed for themselves, and they are going to bitch and moan as they have to lay in it, as they have to deal with the repercussions of their actions. I grew up in that feminist bullshit, that feminist propaganda, as many of us did, with feminist mothers. And it's funny because as shit hits the fan, you're going to have these same feminist mothers turning to us and wanting us to help them. I'm the oldest. Of all my mother's kids, I'm the oldest. And you know what? I'm not going to be there for her. I'm not going to be there for her. And many of us are not going to be there for our mothers. After what our mothers have done, we're not going to be there for them. After what our ex-wives have done, those of us that have been married, we're not going to be there for them. You see, and here's something interesting. Some of you guys listening, you've had kids, you've lost your kids. And the funny thing is, hear me out. When shit hits the fan, those little shits are going to come looking for you. Because they're going to pass 18, and mom's going to kick them out because mom doesn't want to take care of them anymore. All right? Mom doesn't want to take care of them anymore. And they're going to come looking for you, and they're going to want your help. This is the same thing that happened to Traversable MGTOW. His son was basically used by his mother, and as soon as he turned 18, his mom kicked him out. As soon as the child support check stopped coming, his mother kicked him out. And his father had to take him in, provide a shelter over his head, and then start raising him all over again. Because his son didn't know how to behave, didn't know how to act, didn't know how to think, didn't have basic common sense. That's what happens when you're raised by a mother. His son ended up almost homeless with nothing to his name, with not even common sense. That's the result of feminism. That's the result of feminist indoctrination. That is the gift of feminism to the world. Destruction. But that's why MGTOW is so important. And that's why men having the philosophy to help guide their lives and enrich their lives, That's one of the fundamental things that you have to consider about MGTOW. MGTOW is an incredible thing. You know, I'm looking at a comment that Logan Malcolm says in the comments. He says, women peak 15 to 20, men peak between 28 and 40. Roughly, it's painful being a young guy. Grow your wealth. Something that some guys have already said. I saw a guy that pointed this out, that all the 20-somethings are going to be running for 50-year-old men that have resources when shit hits the fan. When Donald Trump leaves presidency, when he leaves the presidency, he's going to trade what's her name? Melinda. He's going to trade her in. He's going to divorce her. These wives of his, they don't have a very long shelf life. Their shelf life is around 15 to 20 years with Donald Trump. So by the time his presidency ends, he's going to trade her in. And at that point, he's going to be Daddy Donald Trump. And at 78 years old, 79, Donald Trump is going to have hundreds, if not thousands, probably thousands of women trying to be with him. Thousands. This is not just going to be Donald Trump. You're going to have 50-year-old men that are going to have dozens of women lining up, young women, 20-somethings, 18-year-old women with tight pussies and tight tits going for 50-year-old men. Because the men their age either don't want them or can't afford them. The government isn't taking care of them anymore. So what they're going to do, they're going to look for a new daddy. They're going to look for old men that have saved their resources. And the funny thing is, a lot of these 50-year-old men, they're either going to pump and dump them, or the ones that do have a relationship with them are just going to use them for sex and not have a conversation with them at all. They might do something along the lines of give them 2 meals a day and tell them to clean their house or get the fuck out. These women have created their own misery. They have created a perfect storm for themselves. But I promised you guys a face reveal. So you know what? It's time to show you guys my face. It's time to get this out there, because I think that by showing you guys my face, by showing you what me and Turd Flinging Monkey look like, I talked to him about it. He seemed okay with the idea, and so me and him, we've actually met before. Me and Turd have actually met before. I said it. We are friends. So I'm gonna do the face reveal of me and Turd Flinging Monkey right now, and again, I hope this brings a little peace and a little calm to the MGTOW community once you guys see what my face looks like and realize that I'm just one of you. I care about you guys, and it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, who you are. It just matters what's on the inside. So I'm going to count down to the face reveal. 3, 2, 1. This is me and Turd Flinging Monkey. So there we are. That's me and Turd Flinging Monkey out for a walk. Okay? That's me and Turd out for a walk. And I think it really sums it up. That's Turd, and we've been friends for quite a few years. We've had our ups and downs, but our friendship has remained strong over the years. And I told you guys that I looked exactly like my avatar, and as you can see, I look exactly like my avatar. So that's me and Turd out for a walk, and again, guys, I'm just a normal guy like the rest of you. And I figured that by showing you this, you would finally, it put to rest who I am and what my intentions are for the community, and we can focus on being MGTOW and, going our own way, finding happiness for ourselves, discovering our passions. So I hope that settles it. Hope that settles it for you guys. So let me know what you think in the comment section. If you agree that 2017 is the year feminism dies, 2018 is the year feminists don't know they're dead, and 2019 is the year everyone tries to act like feminism never happened. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Also, please remember that I try to do at least 3 of these videos every day. I have not been active for the last week because I've been so sick, so I've only been putting out a few videos. But please definitely consider leaving a donation via my Patreon via my Patreon, which you can find by clicking on the link on my YouTube homepage in the header, or you can also find a link to my Patreon in the description of this video, and you can become a Patreon for as little as $5. And Patreon is really important because that YouTube revenue doesn't do anything for me. I can't live off YouTube revenue. It's what your donations, your support helps to ensure that I can continue to put out content. You can become a Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And by becoming a Patreon, you're making a pledge to give $5 a month or $10 a month, whatever you can. That's the money that actually helps to make sure that I can continue running this channel, that I can continue affording my Photoshop cost and my other and the software and internet, all that stuff, and I'm basically doing this full time for you guys because I am doing it full time because I am passionate about this. I'm passionate about getting the MGTOW message out. I'm passionate about reaching men who need help, men who have been victimized by the system, men who have lost everything. So please definitely consider contributing via my Patreon. Also, never miss another Angry MGTOW video by clicking on the notification button below any of my videos, which is next to the subscribe button. When you click on that, you'll see a pop that says send me all notifications for this channel. Check the box, hit save. Once you've done that, you will already receive a notification whenever I'm live streaming or whenever I put out a new video. And again, if you've already done it, you don't have to do it again. So let me know if you agree that feminism is dead in 2017. 2018 is the year feminists don't even know that they're dead. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And I hope that you enjoyed the face reveal of me and Turd Flinging Monkey. Definitely feel free to, use it as your background wallpaper or whatever. Like the video, share the video. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember, if you like the video, share the video. And all roads lead to MGTOW or death. And cheers. I am so out of it. Let's try that again. If you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MGTOW or death. You know what? I'm rusty. I'm a little rusty. You see, this is what happens when you take a week off. You start to slip and fall a little bit. And you try to get back on. It's like riding a bicycle. But, it comes back to you. Let's talk in the comments.